Lasers. Powerful enough to slice through solid stone. Acoustic chambers enabling interplanetary communication and architecture designed to harness cosmic energy. Are these astonishing examples of our modern technology, or could they be astounding achievements from the ancient past? The only way these massive stone cubes were removed from the mountain is by some kind of laser-like instrument capable of liquefying rock, some experts suggest. These temples were used to communicate with the gods and resonate with cosmic energies. People see this as evidence of assistance given to earthly civilizations by ancient aliens. Millions around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it's true? Did ancient aliens really help shape our history? And could the proof be found by examining the construction methods of our planet's ancient engineers? Peru, South America, the Andes Mountains. At 9,000 feet above sea level, in an area the Inca once called the Sacred Valley, lie the ruins of the ancient city of Ollantaytambo. Serving both as a temple and a fortress, mainstream historians claim Ollantaytambo was built around 1440 AD by the Inca Emperor Pachacuti. However, some scholars believe it was constructed upon the ruins of a far older city, whose origins remain unknown. The gate behind me is called the Gateway of the Gods, and it was built several thousand years before the Inca arrived here, says one researcher. It's built by a culture we call the Uran Pacha. We give them that name because we have no idea who they were, where they came from, or where they went. It's evident that the earliest parts of Ollantaytambo date back at least 12,000 years, if not older. According to some research, this was built by the Iraq civilization, people as ancient as the equivalent of Adam, or the first humans. But how could the earliest humans on Earth have produced such astonishing stonework, with massive interlocking blocks precisely fitted together, or have constructed aqueducts and irrigation systems that still function today? How did they move and set colossal stones of granite, each weighing more than 50 tons? Ollantaytambo is a mountain fortress renowned specifically for the incredible size of the blocks used in its construction, particularly those found on its highest level. There are 6 massive stones positioned in a line at the mountain's summit. These stones were transported from another mountain across a plain, over a river, and then up the mountain. The biggest mystery is how they were not only able to cut these stones, but also move them up this mountain. In modern times, moving a 50-ton boulder would require assembling a special transportation unit consisting of steel girders, several axles, hydraulic jacks, and perhaps building a road or using a cable and pulley system. Options unavailable to people living way back then. These 6 giant slabs of red granite have stood here for thousands of years because of the beautiful engineering of the ancients, marvels an engineer. If there's a major earthquake, these shims can ride up and down, absorbing the shock and keeping the giant slabs in place. The ability to fit perfectly aligned stones weighing several tons together so precisely that not even a single human hair can fit between them is astounding. It's not just a question of manpower, it's a question of technology. Mainstream archaeologists claim the dense, hard granite was cut and shaped using stone or bronze tools, but evidence of such tools has never been found at the site. Stranger still is the means by which the mammoth rocks are bonded into place, as if fused together by an unknown form of energy. It's almost as if 2 stones were leaned together and then infused with some type of high-radiation beam, or laser, that fused the rocks together, suggests a researcher. They could then stack a 3rd rock and create another fused area. There's no explanation for how they had the ability to create such a high heat source and fuse these rocks in such an intricate fashion. Further evidence of the mysterious methods used by ancient craftsmen can be found nearby at the Temple of the Condor. Here, enormous slabs of andesite stone were quarried from what is known as the Wall of Living Rock. The Temple of the Condor is curious because we find huge cube-like sections of stone, andesite, which is very hard, have been removed from the mountain with such accuracy that we can't find a scratch on the surface, notes an archaeologist. The corners are not sharp, they're perfectly rounded, and no one can explain how this could have been achieved. The rock surface looks rough, but when you touch it, it feels as smooth as a bathroom mirror, indicating some type of vitrification process was used. At the bottom of where this alcove was cut out, we can see a crisscross pattern, which some believe are saw marks. Irrefutable proof of ancient machining. Prehistoric tools would never work on andesite. To cut it, you need something harder than andesite, like a diamond. But there were no such tools in Stone Age times, leading some to speculate about extraterrestrial assistance. Might the ancient engineers of Ollantaytambo have used tools acquired from otherworldly sources? Perhaps clues can be found by examining the earliest creation myths of the Andes Mountains. In them, ancient ancestors or founders are described as a brother and sister referred to as children of the sun, sent by the sun god. These mysterious beings arrived on Earth with something described as a golden wedge. Was this golden wedge some sort of handheld device that could cut stone and even possibly levitate the giant blocks into place? If the golden wedge used by the children of the sun was really some kind of high-tech device for cutting or levitating stone, possibly given to them by extraterrestrials, it could explain the astonishing feats of engineering at Ollantaytambo. What you can't explain is the moving of 50-ton stones up the sheer face of a cliff to create the walls of the fortress, says an engineer. That required more than cranes, lifts, or scaffolds. It required something like an anti-gravitational device or a tractor beam to lift that much stone that high. That's why people see this as an example of help given to an earthly civilization by ancient aliens. Do the incredible accomplishments of the early people of the Andes Mountains provide proof that early humans were in contact with otherworldly beings? If so, wouldn't there be even more incredible evidence? Some believe such evidence exists, hidden within the ruins of a Mesoamerican metropolis. Central Mexico, Teotihuacan. 35 miles northeast of Mexico City, on a highland plateau, lies the enormous archaeological site of the ancient city of Teotihuacan. Established around 100 BC and lasting until its fall between the 7th and 8th centuries, Teotihuacan was one of the largest cities in the ancient world, with over 150,000 inhabitants at its peak. When you enter this city, you're immediately struck by its modern layout. The Avenue of the Dead stretches for miles, along which you have all the major ceremonial architecture, including some of the largest buildings ever erected in the New World. According to scholars, the advanced design of Teotihuacan suggests that ancient builders had knowledge not only of architecture, but also of complex mathematical and astronomical sciences. From the air, the city's layout strangely resembles a computer circuit board, with two large processor chips, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. Researchers have also found numerous and remarkable similarities to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. When we look at these buildings, we find the same mathematics incorporated into them as in the Great Pyramid and the surrounding pyramids of the Giza Plateau. The Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza and the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan have almost the same base, nearly 750 feet square. The base perimeter of the Pyramid of the Sun is 4 pi times its height. In Giza, it's 2 pi times its height. Essentially, the Pyramid of the Sun is exactly half as tall as the Pyramid of Giza. Teotihuacan is created according to a specific layout. The Temple of the Sun, the Temple of the Moon, and the Temple of Quetzalcoatl are in the same layout as Orion's Belt, the same formation in which the 3 pyramids of the Giza Plateau have been laid out. Might the design and layout of Teotihuacan be comparable to that of Giza because of similar influence by extraterrestrial visitors? When you have similar pyramid complexes like those at Teotihuacan and Giza, you have to think that perhaps the same builders or designers are behind these giant complexes. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Teotihuacan is the finding by archaeologists of the extensive use of mica embedded in numerous structures, a mineral only found 3,000 miles away in Brazil. It's found in all buildings, housing complexes, temples, and along the roads. These mica sheets were transported from thousands of miles away. Why would they do that? They weren't for decoration, because you couldn't see them. Mica has electrical properties that make it a very good insulator. It resists the transmission of electricity and is stable at high temperatures. It's clear and can stand up to temperature and electrical discharges. They must have had a very specific reason to incorporate it, and the only possible reason is that it was part of some technology. Recently, archaeologists have also discovered large quantities of mica crystals in a subterranean chamber and in several shafts that run beneath the Avenue of the Dead. There is an underground shaft that goes from the mica chamber in the direction of the Pyramid of the Sun. Notes a researcher. Is it possible that this mica chamber contains some type of energy-producing device, a power plant that fed some of the other pyramids? It's possible. There's much speculation that the Great Pyramid itself was a massive microwave generator, literally sending a beam up to a satellite, or powering some other kind of spacecraft or installation. We could have had the same thing happening here at Teotihuacan. If the Pyramid of the Sun were designed to generate power, could its mica-lined chambers and shafts have served as an interconnecting power grid for the entire city? Or could the use of mica have served another, perhaps more protective, purpose? NASA uses mica to deflect heat on many of their crafts, such as the space shuttle on re-entry. The bottom part is lined with mica as a perfect deflector of large amounts of heat. Could the mica at Teotihuacan also have been used to shield and protect the ancient people, perhaps from the blast of an extraterrestrial rocket taking off, or even radiation from some kind of spacecraft? But if the ancient builders of Teotihuacan used mica for power generation and radiation protection, where did their advanced engineering and construction knowledge come from? The earliest descriptions of Teotihuacan talk about gods descending from the sky in ships or winged serpents, and that something extraordinary happened there. Teotihuacan, like the ancient Egyptian pyramids, is believed to have been built by the gods, who ascended into the heavens in craft that we today think could be rocket ships. The elders certainly must have learned the secrets from the gods themselves. An interesting similarity with many of these ancient sites are reports of the gods ascending and descending from the heavens. It's very possible that these were actually being used as landing sites, and that the knowledge to build Teotihuacan was given to us by extraterrestrials. Vijayanagara, the city of victory in India. In the southern portion of India are the ruins of a vast temple complex known as Vijayanagara, translated as the city of victory. This site was once the prosperous capital of the largest and most powerful Hindu kingdom in all of India. Vijayanagara is said to have been built in the 14th century AD. However, there's evidence to show that it's a much older city. Hindu legends say that the ancient king Rama met with his monkey god friend Hanuman there at a cave in Vijayanagara, which would put this city back many thousands of years. According to scholars, the temples of Vijayanagara were built using ancient geometric and mathematical formulas found only in Vastu Shastra, a traditional Hindu system of design based on aligning art and architecture with the elemental properties of earth, water, air, fire, and space. Vastu architecture is unique because it creates structures that are supposed to resonate with earth and cosmic energies. When you create a structure, you want the building to be in harmony with the earth. If you think of the earth as embedded in a space nervous system tied to the rest of the universe, these temples illustrate that perfectly. It could be that these spaces were used as a technology to delve deep within human consciousness and communicate with the gods. The origins of Vastu architecture can be traced in ancient Indian Sangam literature to a mythic hero called Mamuni Mayan, who lived some 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. According to Hindu beliefs, Mamuni Mayan is revered as the Vishwakarman, the Lord of creation, and the deity who designed and fabricated the divine architecture of the universe. But might this god really have been an extraterrestrial entity? Researchers point to clues carved in stone throughout the ancient Vastu temples of Vijayanagara. Vijayanagara was thought to be a city that connected people to the gods, says an archaeologist, says an